learning target today is I can multiply binomials to create a quadratic equation using something called the table method. So we've already done it kind of one way. We were going to just confirm our work with the table method as we did in our work yesterday. So it's going to look a little bit different, but the format is going to look a little bit different. So what we're going to do is we're going to write each binomial above the table. So it's going to function in a little bit different capacity as last time. And then we are going to multiply each term. And we would call that to FOIL. And as your parents have learned that as first, outside, inside, last. So if your parents are talking about foiling, they would know what you're talking about. First, outside, inside, last. Go ahead and catch up on notes there. I'm going to go ahead and be quiet for a second so you can catch up on notes. All right, so if I'm going too fast on that video, go ahead and pause it because I'm going to keep going on notes now. So we're going to multiply these binomials, x plus 3, multiplied by 7x plus 4, which we did yesterday in our work. But this method's going to look a little bit different. We're going to call this the table method. So the setup's just slightly different. So we're going to take the first term and we're going to represent it up on top here. I'm going to say this whole space is occupied with the term x. And what's going to be a little bit different is we're going to write that as x plus 3 here. X plus 3. And this whole space over here is going to be 7x, that whole space. Instead of writing x 7 times like we did yesterday, that entire space is going to be the length of 7x. And then we're going to say plus 4. All right. So as we start to multiply then, we're going to multiply each term. So we're going to multiply this first box here, which is going to be 7 times 1 is 7. X times x is 7x squared. Go ahead and check that out. So we have multiplied the number. 7 times 1 is 7. X times x is x squared. I'm going to follow that row across now. So 7 times 3 is 21. And I'm going to drag the x with me, which is 21x. Go ahead and look at that if you're confused. 7 times 3 is 21, and drag the x with me. The lower left-hand row now, we're going to go 4 times 1 is 4, and I'm going to drag the x with me. So we get 4x. And then the last box, we have a positive 4 times a positive 3 is a positive 12. So it's a little bit different than our work yesterday. We're still setting up kind of like a multiplication table, but this time we're combining all the terms in the same spot. We're not going to write out an x 7 times in today's work. So to combine like terms, just a different organization there. We have 7x squared as our first spot, nothing to combine with, so we just have 7x squared. When I go to combine like terms then, in the next spot, we have 4x's and 21x's gives us 25x's. If that's unclear, go ahead and look at the highlighted region on my screen. I'm going to go ahead and highlight in green. 21x's plus 4x. That gives us that 25x if that's unclear. As I keep working then, I have just positive 12 on its own. So my final answer to that entire problem is 7x squared plus 25x plus 12. Go ahead and pause the video if any of that is confusing at this time. And then we're going to keep working. Now I'm going to erase this part that says FOIL. I'm just writing that there because a lot of your parents probably have learned it as FOIL, but we're really doing the same process that your parents learned as foiling. We're just organizing it in this different way. Most of them have not seen this table before. So we're going to write the first term here. We have 3x, take away 1, subtract 1. It's going to be a negative 1 there. And over on the other side, we have 2x squared. 2x squared, subtract 2. So we're going to organize for each spot. Each term has a box or a length there. So as we multiply in the first spot, we get 2 times 3 is 6. We have x squared times x to the first power there. So we have x squared times x to the first is x to the third power. So we multiply our terms. 2 times 3 is 6. X squared times x is x to the third power. Now stay with me in here. We're going to have a triangle problem here. We're going to take 2 and we're going to multiply it by -1. So there's a triangle problem there. We have +2, -1. Our answer is -2. And we're going to just drag that x squared with us. So it becomes -2x squared in that row. Go ahead and look at that if you're confused on how to get that box. As we keep working here, then we have -2 multiplied by +3, which gives us -6. Again, we have a triangle problem there. And we're going to just drag that x term with us. That becomes the term -6x. And in the last box, we have -2 multiplied by -1. We have a triangle problem there. -2 multiplied by -1 is +2. So we combine our like terms here. Watch your signs. Our only x cubed term is this one here. So we end up with a 6x cubed all by itself. Our only x squared term is this. Oh, whoops. I'm going to have to rewrite that. Sorry. Our only x squared term was this one, which was -2x squared. So I'll go back and highlight that again. So we have -2x squared there. Nothing to combine with, so we have -2x squared plus our only x term is this one, so we have just -6x. And our only constant, which is just a number without a variable, is 2. So there's our answer. We actually have 4 terms there. 6x cubed plus -2x plus -6x plus 2. Final answer. If I'm going too fast, go ahead and pause that video. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next problem that says you try. Now, if you were in class right now, I'd probably pause, slow down, and have you try. Which you definitely can do right now in the video, but otherwise I'm going to keep plugging ahead. So we're going to take this first piece of the binomial and we're going to put it on top. We get 3x is the length of that piece. It's the equivalent of having an x, and an x like we did on the first day, plus 2. As I work my way down, I have 2x plus 1. To multiply these binomials, we multiply each term, and then we will combine like terms after. So as we multiply these terms, we have 2 times 3, which is 6. And we have an x times an x. It explodes into something what we call exponential. So we get x squared there. So that first box is 6x squared. I'm just following that row across. Multiplying the terms, 2 times 2 is 4. And then drag the variable x with me gives me 4x. Multiplying that next box, we have 1 times 3, which is 3. And then I'm going to drag that x with me from the top there, so that's 3x. Again, when you multiply by 1, there isn't any change to the problem. In the last box, I'm just multiplying a +1 times a +2, which just gives me a +2. So to clean this problem up then, I have my only x squared term is 6x squared. Combine like terms. I have a 4x, and I have a 3x. When we combine those, we get 7 x's. Now, if I'm going too fast, remember to pause that video. If you have a sub today, very politely, respectfully ask if the sub will pause the video for you. And then all that's left for the constant is this plus 2. So my final answer is 6x squared plus 7x plus 2. All right, I'm going to keep moving on. We have 3x goes in this box. We have plus 2 goes in that box. So 3x plus 2. And we have an x minus 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and take care of that lonely variable and put a 1 in front of it, so we get a 1x there. So that first spot, we have a 1 times a 3 is a 3, and we have an x times an x is an x squared. Again, if I'm going too fast, pause that video. So we get 3x squared in that first box. As we work across that row then, we have a 1 times 2 here is 2. Drag the variable x with us. We get 2x. Reattach that x. Lower left-hand box, we have -1 times 3. That's just a triangle problem there. So we have a positive on the 3, a negative on the 1 gives us a -3. Drag that variable x with me, -3x we have. And the last box, we have -1 times +2 is -2. Combining like terms here, we have 3x squared plus, when I combine these, we get -1x plus -2. Go ahead and look at that. Make sure you have those correct. We have +3x squared plus -1x plus -2. All right, moving on. 2 left for today and then a summary. Here we go. First one, we're going to jazz this up. This is to the fourth power. First time we've seen a multiplication of that fourth power in this unit. So we have 2x to the fourth power plus 5. That's the length of that space. Working our way down, then we have an x plus 3. Go ahead and catch up if I'm going too fast. All right, so we have a lonely variable x there, so it's really like a 1x. Term by term here, we go 1 multiplied by 2 gives us a 2. Be careful on your power here. We have an x to the first. Pay attention to that. Notice I put that little 1 up there as a power. X to the first multiplied by x to the fourth. We add the powers, becomes x to the fifth. So that term is 2x to the fifth. Multiplying the next term, then we have 1 times 5 is 5. Drag the variable x with us gives us 5x. Then we have 3 times 2, which is 6. Drag that x to the fourth with us is 6x to the fourth. And that last box, then we have 3 times 5, which is 15. Cleaning this up then. So we have 2x to the fifth is our only x to the fifth term, plus. Go next power high gives us a 6x to the fourth. Nothing to combine there. Next power high is 5x. Notice we have a huge jump in our power there. We went all the way from 6x to the fourth power down to just a 5x. And our last power that is all alone is 15. And that's actually just a constant, no variable attached to it, known as a constant in math. So our final answer in power order is 2x to the fifth plus 6x to the fourth plus 5x plus 15. All right, 8th grade, last problem of the day. So we find the length of this last piece. We'd have x squared occupying that first space plus 2x. Working our way down, then we have x occupying that space plus 2. Now I do have a lonely variable there. So multiplying these binomials, then we go term by term, kind of functioning like a multiplication table here. We have 1 times 1 is 1. Be careful on your powers here. X to the first times x to the squared is x to the third power. We end up with 1x to the third power. Multiplying the next terms, then we have 1 times 2 is 2. We have x times x is x squared. So we get 2x squared. Next piece, we have 2 times 1 is 2. Drag that x squared with us. So we get 2x squared. And the last piece, then, we have 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. Drag that x with us is 4x. Go ahead and watch all those spots. Make sure that you are in good shape with those. Combining like terms, then we have a 1x to the third power here. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the next term then. So our x squared terms are here, and there's 4's in front of them. So we're going to put those together. Gives us 4x squared plus. Our last term is just 4x. Now you notice there is a gap, kind of a gap there because we don't have that constant hanging on the end. So we have 1x cubed plus 4x squared plus 4x. And these two are not quadratics because they're not starting with our highest power is not power of 2. So they're functions that are a little bit different than quadratics, but we're not going to talk about that in 8th grade math. So a couple of things just in your summary. Don't forget to combine like terms. Do not forget to combine like terms. And remember to go power order. Highest power down to the lowest power. Notice that we were doing that, like power of 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, then the constant. Not all the parts are always there, but they should be going in power order as you combine like terms. All right, I don't have any official homework for you tonight unless you have a sub today and the sub tells you otherwise. Otherwise, you have the night off for homework. Have a fabulous night, 8th grade.